greatest therapy ever. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Pancast, a podcast where you don't do Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Can skip therapy this week, Grossi, and today we're going to be talking about the Green Bay Packers defeating the San Francisco 49ers with a score of 38-10, and let's just say that one felt pretty good. And let's get this out of the way first. Obviously, the 49ers coming into this game are a beat-up football team. Not only are they struggling this year, Brandon Ayuk going out earlier in the year, but in this game, they didn't have Trent Williams, they didn't have Nick Bosa, they didn't have Brock Purdy, and so we knew that we were kind of getting a shell of the San Francisco 49ers, but I think past traumas and past games for Packers fans, they didn't care who was suiting up for the 49ers as long as they won, and boy, oh boy, did they win this game big time. And it was a closer game than the score indicated until the fourth quarter when the Packers really started to run away with this. But I want to break down a couple things I saw on offense and defense, and of course look ahead for the rest of the season. First off, talk about Jordan Love. Jordan Love didn't have his absolute best day in terms of completion percentage, but he didn't throw an interception. We will happily take that. And so while there, of course, was a pass that should have been intercepted, thankfully it was dropped. Jordan Love finished 13 for 23, 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also had some pivotal drops from wide receivers. You had Romeo Doubs drop one, and on top of that, you had Christian Watson drop a really easy pass. Romeo Doubs finished the game as our leading receiver, 3 for 54, but left the game with a concussion, so his status for Thursday is up in the air, though I imagine he will not play. And on top of that, speaking of injuries, Packers didn't have Jair Alexander or Edrin Cooper suiting up for this week. And through all that, the Packers, they played pretty damn good football. Taking a look on the offense, we talked about Love. Josh Jacobs, what a pickup he has been. 26 carries for 106 yards and 3 touchdowns, an absolute stud. And Josh Jacobs became the first Packer since 1999 to score 3 touchdowns and have over 100 plus rushing yards since Dorsey Levin. So a huge shout out to Josh Jacobs. And we talked about the red zone offense last week and how it's been a problem for the Packers this season. Today, it looked a lot better, and a lot of it because of Josh Jacobs. The Packers wound up finishing with 169 rushing yards, and this is the kind of balanced attack the Packers are going to need to have heading into December, because as it gets a little bit colder in Lambeau, they're going to need to rely on Josh Jacobs. And while Jordan Love didn't have to do a ton today, not having any turnovers and forcing 3 was the key difference maker in this game. And speaking of turnovers, our defense today, they are phenomenal. They allowed 1 touchdown to George Kittle, and besides that, they played really damn good football. They forced 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles, and another interception for Xavier McKinney, who now has 7 interceptions on the season, making his play for Defensive Player of the Year. And talk about 2 free agents who have made a massive difference on this Packers football team. It's Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney. So Goody absolutely crushed it this offseason. But it's not just the turnovers that went really well for the Packers. The Packers dominated time possession. When looking at the first half, there was a little over 6 minutes left, and at that point, the 49ers hadn't had a single first down. Time possession was 19:05 to 4:22 in that first half with 6 minutes left. The Packers wound up finishing the game with 36 minutes of time possession compared to 23. So they dominated the clock. On top of that, they ran the ball efficiently, and they really didn't allow the 49ers to do much. I know it wasn't Brock Purdy back there, but Brandon Allen went 17 for 29, 199 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. The Packers also had 2 sacks, but CMC was extremely limited today by this Packers defense. 11 carries for only 31 yards. The Packers held him for under 50 rushing yards total, and that is a major, major win. We know how good CMC can be. I know this is only his 3rd game back, and he hasn't looked the greatest, but for a Packers team where the Bears run all over him last week, this is a big, big win. On top of that, a stat you usually see with the Packers defense, the 49ers had 20 missed tackles going into the fourth quarter, which is pretty damn rough. It speaks to Josh Jacobs and how well he has played, but also just kind of where the 49ers are right now. And again, you can only beat the team that's in front of you, and I'm not banging on the drum. Well, I am banging on the drum all day, but I'm not banging on the drum saying, oh man, this means the Packers are world beaters now. But the fact that the Packers were able to knock down the 49ers and really take control of that game in the second second half, I think really speaks well to where they are this season. There's definitely things to clean up, no doubt, but the Packers are going to have to do that pretty quickly because they're going to be playing in a few days on Thursday night on Thanksgiving in prime time against the Miami Dolphins, whose offense has been looking really good since Tua came back. So it is going to be a challenge. You're going to hope that Edgerrin Cooper and Jair Alexander are going to be back for that game. But taking a look at where the Packers are right now, they're sitting at 8-3, which is a pretty damn good record. Unfortunately, their losses are against two division rivals and the Eagles, but the Packers are in a really good position for themselves. They now have 4 primetime games in a row. They got the Dolphins on Thursday, then the following Thursday got the Lions, then Sunday Night Football they got the Seahawks, and Monday night they got the Saints. So there's going to be some big time pressure on the Packers to perform, but this is really going to determine what position they're going to be in heading into the playoffs, because this team, while they do have flaws, I think are still a playoff team, and we're kind of just waiting for the Packers to take that next step. Today, I think, went a long way in doing so, and again, even though it's a beat up 49ers team, to be able to win by 28 points, dominate at home, that's pretty damn good. As you look at the Thanksgiving game against a good incoming offense, it should be a battle. But as of right now, the Packers sitting at 8-3. They have 6 games left, including against 3 division rivals in the Lions, Vikings, and the Bears. So it's going to be interesting to see how they finish out this season. But honestly, I couldn't be happier with how their performance was today. Again, there's still things to clean up, but you can only beat the team in front of you. The Packers did that decisively today. A little stress-free football heading into the fourth quarter. And hey, as fans, what more can you ask for? But of course, let me know what you think down in the comments below. You guys find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or Tom Grossi Comedy, all social media, see down below. A big shout out and thank you to all the Patreon members and YouTube members for supporting this channel. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.